So I'm Rebecca Peck, and I head up customer experience for the London Borough of Sutton and the Royal Borough of Kingston upon Thames. So the two boroughs made a decision last year to join forces around customer experience, digital and the web. So it's been a really exciting time for us. So I'm just going to talk you through the journey so far and the work we've been doing with colleagues at Jadu to really make a difference to our residents. So just to start then, for those of you who don't know, Sutton and Kingston are two boroughs in the south of London. So we've got a combined population that's growing and approaching 400,000 and a combined spend of 698 million across the two boroughs. We're really fortunate in that we've got amongst the lowest levels of digital exclusion in the UK. So you can see there, that's where we are on a map. So we've got really high levels of our residents who just expect to be able to go and access online. And a very similar picture in Sutton. So obviously that creates huge potential for us around digital, because we know that, you know, most of the time with our residents it's not a case of convincing them to go online, they're already choosing to do that. Okay, so our focus at the moment is all around redesign, and most of this really hasn't been around technology at all. It's really fundamentally looking at our processes and the way that we work, and how we can make sure that we're managing our demands so that we're dealing with things once and we're getting them right first time. So to do that, we've been working with colleagues across both boroughs and together with our partners as well, just to really understand what the customer journey looks like across our different services and where those opportunities for change are. And the thing which has come out of that most strongly, which I'm sure you've all experienced in your places, is that actually our huge opportunity is really around closing the loop. So in both boroughs we were seeing an unnecessary amount of failure demand, of residents contacting us to follow up, what's happened with this, I told you about this, I've heard nothing, and a general sense from our councillors and our residents that they'd contact the council and things sort of go into the abyss, never to be heard from us again. So really we've been looking across all our different access routes, you know, regardless of how people come in, to make sure we have that multi-channel experience. So rather than thinking about how can we, you know, measure the percentage of people going online, what we're trying to focus on is how can we get it right first time by whatever channel. Because when we started looking at this, what we found is that actually we had lots of contacts where it was an online contact turning into a phone call, turning into an email, turning into a visit as well, and perhaps an email to a counsellor. So really trying to look at some of those process issues that cause those failings and how we change those. So obviously digital creates huge opportunity for us around that. So just looking at our home pages, just to give you a bit of a flavour of what we have at the moment. So both our sites are with Jadu, but different look and feel for each borough. So this is our Sutton one, and this is Kingston. But again, you know, with both of them, we've got quite a simple design, simple layout, just trying to make it as easy as possible for our residents to find the information that they need. And one of the real areas of focus that we've had, so since I joined just before Christmas last year, one of our priorities has really been around accessibility. So after kind of coming in at interview and saying how terrible it was that both sites have failed on accessibility, obviously our councillors were really quite unhappy about that, but then we realised we better do something about it. So we did some great work with the Digital Accessibility Centre, who've really helped us with both our websites to really turn that around, and that's taken quite a lot of work with colleagues at Jadu as well, to make lots of changes which, whilst they might be invisible to many of our residents, actually can really be the difference between somebody being able to access our services or not at all, if they're perhaps using a screen reader or other assistive technology. So really within quite a short time frame, so you know, we commissioned that piece of work January, and by the time we got to April, we'd, you know, after getting huge reports about making lots of changes across both our sites, we got them to a point where they're both meeting the accessibility standards. So that's something that we're really proud of. Okay, so obviously the main focus of all of this is about how can we drive down demand. So like I've said, it's not just about how can we get everybody online, it's ideally we want to try and prevent people from having to contact us at all if we can. And with that, driving down our costs as well. So rather than just thinking about those savings at the front end in terms of, how can we make incremental reductions in our customer service function, this is about looking more fundamentally at, how can we encourage more people to stay independent at home rather than perhaps needing more support or residential care from us by providing that information, signposting at first point of contact, whether that's over the phone or online. And ultimately, what we're trying to do is improve outcomes for our residents and improve their satisfaction. So again, moving away from thinking about customer satisfaction as something that you do when you've initially taken a call. Was the person who dealt with your call polite? Oh yeah, they were. That was great. But then I never heard from you again and the problem didn't get solved. So again, we're trying to take that end-to-end approach with all of our services. So that is a whistle-stop tour of where we are with the customer experience in Kingston and Sutton. Thank you all for listening. Happy to take any questions.